Wade and Wade reacts.
They put 7 Uber drivers in a room, and it seems like they found out some shocking information. Let's check it out.
Why does Uber win? Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
In 2023, a law professor published a paper with shocking implications. Her research found that tech firms like Uber and Lyft were using secret algorithms to dictate what drivers earn, based on factors we can't even see. She called it algorithmic wage discrimination. And this technology, or revolution, isn't restricted to rideshare companies.
Once that technology is in there, they can raise prices. On a hot summer day, I want a lot of ice cream, I want lemonade. They're running low, they can raise the price.
That's exactly what Uber does.
Even your paycheck, the very fabric of our economy, all controlled by invisible and unaccountable algorithms.
That's crazy.
So about a year ago,
That's scary
I started
to think
reaching
about.
out to the companies. They largely denied it, only to contradict themselves a few months later.
You probably don't even
Then
know.
I reached out to the academics, and one of the frustrating things
It could
was
be
that
true.
the
Talk to
evidence
the
seemed to be in
detective
shadows. A single study, a hint in an earnings call, a story from a driver. It was mostly theoretical, until a few months ago, when I got an email from a guy. I had published a video that argued Uber's newfound profitability came at the expense of drivers and riders. He said, we were at the tip of the iceberg. So I called him. We talked. 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Los Angeles, looking to settle the question once and for all. Are rideshare companies offering drivers different rates for the same work? What I found put the legality of this whole tech revolution
They
in
always
question.
do. They
I have
always do
broken
that.
every single local, state, federal law when it comes to labor, when it comes to transportation.
That's Sergio Avedian. He sent me the email. He's an experienced driver and a senior
This
contributor
might
at the
lead to
Rideshare
something
Guy,
else.
an influential resource for
This
gig
might lead to
economy.
drivers being on a fixed income
We
like
were
working at a
used to-
regular job.
Something called a rate card. We were used to getting paid by time and distance.
Then, overnight, the transparency vanished, replaced by a secret algorithm that takes into account potentially hundreds of different variables. They called it upfront pricing. Uber's losses turned to profits around that same time. Coincidence? I don't know. Lyft followed suit, and now they claim they're on the path to profitability.
The algorithms are set up in a way to charge the rider as much as it's possible and to pay the driver as little as possible.
A lot of drivers feel Uber and Lyft
Yeah,
are
I've heard
paying
drivers
different
complain about
wages
that
for
before.
the same rides. But we don't really know because the companies, they aren't talking.
We're doing a very simple thing. We're picking up people point A to dropping off point B. I shouldn't make less money than the next guy. I should not. But because it's not regulated, because we don't have rate cards, because we don't know what we're going to make, trip to trip, it's demoralizing, it's upsetting.
So with Sergio's help, we decided to test it. We called 7 experienced drivers to a high traffic area in Los Angeles with the sole purpose of testing if rideshare companies are paying different rates for the same rides.
Don't let Uber
At the
see this
start,
video.
each driver will activate their screen capture
Why you say
They'll
software,
get banned.
open up the app,
Never drive a car.
and place their
Uber.
phone on. Why the table? Sergio has done similar experiments, and the rate disparities were blamed on location differences. When the experiments are done, the drivers will send their screen recording to Sergio's team, who will then sync and analyze the fares. And then we're going to see what's really going on.
I think it's in the same range though. Slightly different. Yeah, that one was $4.17.
He's getting paid $1 more if he goes there, according to the map, and nobody else is. Nobody else is seeing that dollar surge.
I see.
We found that Uber offered the same rides 46 times to multiple drivers. 63% of the time, one of the drivers was offered a bit less money for the exact same ride.
And they're in the same location, so they're traveling the same distance. Distance-wise, it should equal up to the same amount of money each time.
Hundreds of millions of
But it never does. though.
Lyft was even worse. The price gap wasn't just a little off,
Lyft is crazy.
it was a lot off. We saw differences of up to $3 to $4 after bonuses.
Dang.
And drivers
Lyft will
don't
charge
know
you
why one
$100
person
just to
gets
go
a
down the
bonus
street.
and another doesn't.
Well, that adds up like on 30 trips to $10 a day. That's $300 a month. Why should I get paid less $300 a month than the other guy?
I contacted Uber and Lyft to see how
That's
they would
crazy.
calculate fares. Lyft, well, they never responded.
Oh, they
Uber
sure
directed me
don't.
to a blog.
It's hard to get a refund from
When I
Lyft.
explained the experiment's results, they replied by copying and pasting a portion of that same blog post. The section outlines different reasons drivers could see different fares.
Who's handling
But we
that too?
controlled
though?
for everything that we could.
I think it's all AI,
We called the drivers
from what
to
I
the same
understand.
space, placed their phones inches apart, had drivers monitoring incoming promotions, and constantly refreshing their screen. The only thing we didn't account for was any secret test Uber could have been running at the time, which we couldn't because the fare algorithm is secret and the test is secret. There's a whole lot of questions here, like mainly, is this legal? And there's
Doesn't
no
seem
laws
like
against
it.
algorithmic wage discrimination. That article I mentioned at the start
Looks
suggests
like
that
there's
opaque
about to be
algorithms
now.
can easily facilitate violations of anti-discrimination laws. Uber denies this, but their own research reveals a glaring disparity. Women drivers earn 7% less than men, potentially due to algorithmic wage setting.
How, though?
Yeah, that's what I want to.
But there's an argument that the entire business model is illegal.
From our perspective, Uber's and Lyft's business model is based on control without responsibility.
That's David Seligman. He's the executive director of Towards Justice, a legal nonprofit that defends workers from corporate overreach.
And they can't have a
In
union
2022,
either.
the organization helped
That's
lead a
true.
lawsuit
Uber
on behalf
driver.
of 3 rideshare drivers.
The lawsuit says if you are not an employer subject to and accountable to your workers under the labor laws, then you are powerful firms that are abusing your power under state antitrust, competition law, and unfair and deceptive acts and practices laws.
David is describing the cognitive dissonance rideshare operators have when classifying drivers. They want to have it both ways. Uber and Lyft classify drivers as independent contractors, not employers, a crucial distinction. As an employee, you're making money for someone else, which means benefits, protections, and a boss who can tell you what time to show up.
True.
But as an independent contractor, you're supposedly making money for yourself, with no benefits or protections.
Yeah, and
but
making your
freedom,
own schedule.
You're your own boss.
If these drivers are, as you say, independent, then they need to have true economic independence. We allege that the companies have denied them that economic independence, most importantly, by taking away their ability to set prices for themselves.
But right now, Uber and Lyft set prices for riders and
They can't
wages
have
for
that.
drivers to maximize one thing:
Because then they wouldn't be
their
getting
own
paid.
profits. Drivers are left out.
All those people clapping
Uber and
when they
Lyft are
went
saying,
public
we're not
probably don't even know what's going
right?
on.
We're just a platform, and all of our drivers are independent business people. Under our antitrust laws, they need to have the economic independence to set their own prices.
We heard something similar at our roundtable discussion after
If
the
that
experiment.
were the case, they wouldn't
Every
need Uber.
participant wanted to be an independent contractor. They like the freedom. They
Unless
also
you use
want
Uber
and
as a
Lyft to
platform
treat
for
them
your
like
work.
actual independent contractors.
When I don't have a
that would be a cool
pricing and
concept.
you keep calling me an independent contractor, there's something very wrong with that picture.
And for drivers dependent on the rideshare platforms to make a living, it's hard when you're
What were
making
these people
under
doing
minimum
before
wage.
Uber and Lyft though?
Especially for people.
A lot of
that
these
do
people are
full-time.
working regular
In
jobs.
I have to go
California,
back to that. This
they're
is
working
unfair.
70 to 80 hours just to put food on the table, which is really, really rough.
And you look at who's on the board.
And they're in
Both
what,
these
Los
companies.
Angeles too?
Oh, yeah.
So they got to
tells
do a
you
lot of work to make
we
that
have
money
nobody
in
on our
LA.
side, right? When the general counsel of Uber is Tony West and he's the brother-in-law of Kamala Harris, then it tells you that these companies are tight with government. Why does Uber win? Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
I didn't know that.
There's a reality where drivers could be actual independent contractors, set their own rates on these platforms, and compete for your business. But that's not our world. Yet.
That would be cool too if that was the
Instead,
case.
consumer
the
care
companies
about
are
that?
spending hundreds of millions of dollars
Unless the
rewriting
consumer
state
is an
labor
Uber
law
driver.
to
I don't
reinforce
think
the
so.
idea that drivers
Just wanna
aren't
get from here
employees,
to here. I don't care
while
who's
using the
on it.
fine print to
Yeah,
handle
facts.
private challenges.
That's been absolutely essential to Uber's and Lyft's business model. So while they've tried to race to write laws to their benefit, they've also tried to protect themselves from public litigation through the fine print of their contracts and through arbitration clauses.
That's where David's case on behalf of the 3 drivers ended. A superior court sent it to private arbitration. The end result isn't public.
We should also be clear about is just because you're exempt from laws governing, for example, unemployment insurance premiums, that doesn't mean you're exempt from antitrust laws and competition laws.
Federal and state enforcers aren't subject to forced arbitration agreements. They can investigate and bring enforcement actions against these rideshare companies.
It's likely also a violation of state competition law, especially in states like California that prohibit vertical price fixing. So the California Attorney General's office would also be in a prime position to investigate the issue and bring an enforcement action like that one.
But this issue,
how much money is Uber
pricing
pouring into the government?
Stretches beyond rideshare.
That'll let you know what the government is going to do about it or not do about it.
These companies are smart too because they got a giant legal team, so they know how to get to the loopholes.
There's credible reporting that Walmart, Amazon, and McDonald's are all experimenting with the technology. Those companies employ over 3 million people. In July, the FTC announced it was investigating surveillance pricing. That's the practice of companies using complex algorithms and untold data points to offer personalized pricing. The fear is that prices for something like children's Tylenol will suddenly skyrocket across major online stores just because you typed infant fever into Google. Why? Because retailers know you're desperate. The FTC is investigating Walmart, Amazon, and the leading technology vendors. We need to do the same thing, but for wages. The power of these giants lies in their ability to keep everyone, consumers, drivers, regulators, blindfolded. They're backed by billions of dollars worth of sophisticated algorithms and legal gymnastics, leaving us to fight in the dark.
Like you said, that's powerful
legal team. Maybe there's an innocent explanation to our fair experiment, but we won't know until the federal government shines a light.
I knew something was going on when I would see that the prices to travel to the same place every day were drastically different. Sometimes the prices are from $60 to $80. Other times the price to go to the same place is only $24. But regardless of what the price is, whether it be $24 or $74, the driver gets paid the same or sometimes even less. And they don't see a cut of the money that you pay. I think about 50 or more % goes to Uber and the driver gets a small cut. So yeah, I knew some shicey stuff was going on, especially with Lyft now. Lyft will charge you $100 just to go 2 blocks down the street and only pay the driver $5. Yeah, they definitely need to investigate these companies and figure out what kind of shicey algorithms they're using.
Yeah, the only way to fix this problem, and I don't know if this is like Amazon, but because I know Amazon, they said they tried to go on a strike in the same day. A lot of workers came and got replaced. So I don't know if Lyft and Uber is like Amazon, but they would have to go on like a nationwide strike just to let Uber and Lyft know that, hey, we don't like the way that y'all treating us. If they can't do that, the best thing to do, I know it's easier said than done, is to get another job.
Yeah, definitely easier said than done in this economy. I like the idea that the person who put this video together presented. He said that Uber could be used as a platform for drivers that are actually acting as independent contractors to set their own prices, and people can come in and pick and choose what driver that they want based off of the driver's track record, based off of how well the driver drives and does his job or her job.
Yeah.
That would be cool, and then Uber could still get a cut of that.
Yeah, now if I looked on that app and I saw Jason Statham, he was driving, then maybe I would pick him as a driver.
Yeah, because you would be transported effectively if he was driving.
And that was back in the old days too. What happened was they using to find out? They looked at the phone.
That's a fact. That does it for our reaction to this video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from Wade and Wade Reacts.
And we're out of here.
Peace.